Hi there, everybody. This is a quick look at all the releases to date from the DC animated film universe. As you can see, they're all listed here, or shown here, should I say, on Blu-ray, laid out in chronological order. We'll just very quickly go through each one, starting at the beginning. Won't go in depth into each one, just a quick view of what each one's about and where it sits in the overall canon. A lot of these are based on classic books, some are original scripts, but all very good. Okay, first one is Superman Doomsday. Pretty self-explanatory. It's based on the Death of Superman storyline from the 90s. It's a pretty condensed version of it. Superman fights Doomsday to his death and then comes back resurrected. Obviously they use part of this storyline in the Batman v Superman film. They have just announced that they're going to redo this as a two-parter and give it the more comprehensive and faithful treatment, so hopefully there'll be a bit more depth to it. But it's quite an enjoyable watch, quite a lot of action in it, but they do cram a lot of story into an 80-minute animated film. Next one, Justice League New Frontier, one of my favourites, based on the book of the same name. It's basically telling about the origin of the Justice League. It's set against the Cold War, off the back of the JSA being blacklisted by the government and going into retirement or hiding, and it's how the new generation of heroes there have to sort of come out of the shadows to fight off some otherworldly menace. Features the origin of Green Lantern as part of the storyline, and Martian Manhunter, debut of Aquaman as well. Very good one to watch that. The next one is Batman Gotham Knight. This isn't really a long form story. It's basically 6 short stories that are interlocked, that sort of spin out of each other. Not one of my favourites, to be honest with you. They're all different styles. It's not one consistent animation style. There's anime in there, there's more traditional animation, there's some that's quite arty. I'm not a big fan of this, I must admit. Green Lantern Emerald Knights, probably released at the same time as the Green Lantern film, to probably try and cash in on that ill-fated film. Again, similar to the previous one, it's sort of 6 interlocking stories, 6 different Green Lanterns, obviously Hal Jordan, then it gives stories based on Kilowog and Sinestro and all that, and they kind of all come together at the end. Very forgettable, I would say, really, not one I enjoy particularly well. Next one, Wonder Woman. Clues in the title as to what that's about. Very similar storyline to the recent film. Basically a Wonder Woman living on Themyscira and then having to leave the island, face down Ares, get off with Steve Trevor, etc. Next one, Superman Batman Public Enemies. Based on the book of the same name again. Really good one, this one of my favourite animated films. Basically Lex Luthor's the president in it. Yeah, don't ask. Although he couldn't be any worse than the actual current president, but that's another story. Frames Superman for a crime he didn't commit. Then as a result, Superman and Batman become enemies of the state, and he puts a huge bounty on their heads, so the two of them have to basically fight off practically every B and C and Z list villain in the DC universe before they have to kind of overthrow the president. Really good watch, that, highly recommended. Next one, Green Lantern First Flight. Basically it's the origin tale of Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Quite well done, some quite good action sequences in it. Nothing of any great consequence that would make you want to watch it again. It's this familiar story that a lot of people have heard before. That's about that one, really. It's not one that I've particularly watched more than once or anything like that. It's not a great story. Or should I say, it is a good story, but it's one that's been told over and over. Speaking of good stories, this next one, Batman Under the Red Hood. Superb film, this one. Very violent and dark. This is where they start taking a darker turn, these films. Based on the book Under the Hood. Spoiler alert, it's about, obviously, the return of Jason Todd from the grave as the Red Hood. Story that was used in some fashion in the Arkham Knight game. last year, or was it the year before? I can't even remember now. And obviously, you know, he comes back with a grudge against Batman for what happened to him. Good film. This very emotional scenes at the end when Bruce Wayne comes face to face with Jason again. Highly recommended that one. Next one, Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. Very good film. This is basically the Justice League going over to Earth 3 to face the crime syndicate, which obviously the sort of evil mirror versions of the Justice League. Good voice cast on this. James Woods is superb, in particular as Owlman. Really does play the character well. And, you know, the story is what it is, really. Justice League go over there to take them down, to save that world, that universe. And as you can probably guess, the good guys win in the end. Next one, All-Star Superman, based on the book of the same name by Mr. Grant Morrison. It's about the last days of Superman. He's been poisoned by solar radiation, he's dying, he's got weeks to live. So he sort of goes about various things to sort of put his house in order before he dies, and there's one last huge fight with Luthor at the end as well before he succumbs. Good book and a good film. Again, like most of these films, they miss out a lot of detail from the books because they're having to cram so much into a short period of time, but it's still well worth a watch. Next we have Superman Batman Apocalypse, based on the Superman Batman storyline from Weds. I think the book was titled Superman Batman Supergirl, but they called it Apocalypse for this because of obviously the heavily featured Darkseid, who is from the planet Apocalypse, obviously. In a nutshell, this one is Superman and Batman. It's obviously a team in this, and it's the first appearance of Supergirl. She basically, it's her appearance. Batman treats her with suspicion because he doesn't know, you know, if he can trust Superman. Obviously, is overjoyed because it's his long lost cousin, and Darkseid obviously sees her and decides he wants her for his army, so abducts her from Earth and tries to turn her as well. And it's whether Superman and Batman can come to the rescue and save the day and defeat Darkseid. Good watch. A lot of action in this one. It's a really good, highly enjoyable film. Next one, Justice League Doom. Oh, this is a good one. Based on Justice League Tower of Babel book. The basic crux of it is that Batman, because he realises that he's the only non-superpowered member of the Justice League, and if any of his Justice League cohorts went rogue or were turned evil, how would he stop them? So he's basically compiled files on how he would basically take each member of the Justice League down using their weaknesses, for his eyes only, if should that day ever come. But those files are stolen by the villains, by Vandal Savage and his Legion of Doom, and obviously they use that to take them down. So then it's up to Batman to save the day and obviously try and regain the trust of his team, even though I think most of us would do the same thing. Good book and a pretty decent film representation of it. Next one, Batman Year One, based on the classic Frank Miller book of the same name. Clues in the title, really. It's about the early days of Batman, early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman, although the film and to some extent the book are more based around Jim Gordon than Batman. Batman's more of a peripheral figure in it. It's more Jim Gordon's story, but it's very good. Very dark film, this one. Definitely not one you'd show your kids. Unless you're a bit strange. There you go. Animated violence and coarse language. That gives you a clue. It's not really a child's one. It's a very dark film. Extremely well made. I liked it. And it does a pretty faithful adaptation of the book with what you can do in the time frame. Yeah, very well done. Worth a watch. Good voice work in it as well. I think Bryan Cranston plays. I can't remember. He either plays Jim Gordon or he plays Batman in it. For Breaking Bad fans out there, but it's very well done. And Ben McKenzie, who actually plays Jim Gordon in the Gotham TV show, does voice work on this as well, so it's sort of a close the circle. But yeah, one of the better ones in the canon, this one, I would say.